the case involving Robert Ben Rhodes, arguably the worst, most evil long-haul trucker killer in American history.
A lot of truckers are nice people for the most part, but man, this right here that's crazy, man. The number one profession of serial killers is trucking.
People will be looking at truckers differently. If I'm being honest, I plan on having a talk with my daughters.
And
yes.
That guy was a sick maniac. How can your 14-year-old daughter go unaccounted for? Let's approach from both angles.
Yeah, we call them lot lizards in the trucking industry.
Okay, I mean, get those women out of there. Security should not allow them in the truck stop. There's only certain places initial contact can be made. Truck stops, rest areas, truck parking lots, stuff like that. Hey, welcome back again. It's the Slacker Justice Podcast. This is your boy Salim V World.
What's up? It's your boy Tim _motivates.
And we got another reaction video for you today. A very serious topic.
Yes.
And a new topic something that after 20 years of trucking, I really never thought about before. But it was just, I ran across this video and, you know, your boy's been in this trucking space and I really just it caught me off guard. And I thought it was very important that we react to this one.
Yes.
It's actually a video with your man. It's an FBI agent named Frank Figliguzzi.
Yes.
He wrote a book. He's authored of Long Haul. And we're going to just start the video because we got a lot of points that we need to make in it. We're going to start the video and we'll give you a reaction and we'll go from there.
All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Joining me now is Frank Figliguzzi, former FBI Assistant Director and author of Long Haul. Frank, thanks so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure, and also I'm grateful that you're part of shedding light on this rather dark scenario on our highways.
Of course, it was a really disturbing trend, what you uncovered, what you ended up following, and that's the trend of murders on the United States highways. There's hundreds of them, and a lot of them at the hands of truck drivers. So can you talk to us about that trend and why we are seeing it?
Yeah, so Long Haul is the true crime account of the FBI's Highway Serial Killings Initiative. And the numbers in that initiative are staggering. In fact, they were shocking enough to get me out there back on the road as an investigator, riding Long Haul over 2,000 miles. So here are the numbers that are part of the initiative. 850 murders alongside our nation's highways, almost entirely sex-trafficked women. There are currently 200 of those murders that are considered active and unsolved. And when I asked the FBI, how many suspects are you looking at in those unsolved cases, the answer was 450.
Those numbers are staggering. And you talked to the analyst who led the Highway Serial Killings Initiative. What was your biggest takeaway from that conversation? Because a really interesting passage of the book, if you don't mind, is how she was able to compartmentalize. She was eating her lunch, looking at really grisly details. She was able to compartmentalize, but what were your takeaways from the conversation?
So I think first, here's a confession from an FBI agent. You won't see that often. I have to confess, even with 25 years as an FBI agent, retiring as an assistant director, I did not know all the details of this very dark initiative within the behavioral analysis units at Quantico, Virginia, at the FBI Academy. So first and foremost, I was surprised by the scope of this and the number of years this killing has been going on, and that it's still continuing. Secondly, as you said, with the compartmentalization necessary for the crime analysts who work this, it is necessary because the evil and cruelty that I saw in these cases, I have never seen before in my FBI career.
I mean, there was one point in the book, I won't give anything away, this is at the beginning, but you were talking about a certain crime and the perpetrator took a photo of the girl, called the girl's father, and then sent the photo to the family. And I mean, it was so disturbing. I put the book down and I went out and I told my mom about it. I was that disturbed. So you covered a lot of killers in this book, the redheaded murders, the truck stop killer. Is there one case or one detail that stuck out to you?
Oh gosh, they're all just jarring, but you are describing the case involving Robert Ben Rhodes, arguably the worst, most evil long haul trucker killer in American history. Victims, 50 murder victims over several years. And he was only arrested when an Arizona state trooper saw his rig with hazard lights flashing alongside the highway. The trooper strolled up to the rig and heard a woman screaming. She was shackled naked in a makeshift torture chamber within the rig, and that began the unraveling of Robert Ben Rhodes. Now, the photo you're describing was his last known murder victim. 14-year-old Regina Walters was hitchhiking with her boyfriend outside of Houston. He grabbed them, he killed the boyfriend, and then for several weeks proceeded to rape and torture Regina. And that ghastly photo was her last known photo alive that Rhodes took of her. She was pleading for her life.
To really get inside the mindset of a trucker, you actually went on a week-long ride-along, not with a serial killer, but a trucker that you named Mike in the book. Can you talk about that experience for us?
Yeah, I mean, there's some good news here generally, which is, look, if Mike represents the future of modern day trucking, then we're in good hands. He's bright. He's passionate about his profession. But yes, I had to put my investigator hat back on. I wanted to experience this. We happen to ride flatbed, so that's a unique kind of long haul trucking. We were physically engaged with the load. We were part of the U.S. economy, as all truckers are. I mean, the economy of trucking is staggering. Last year alone, $875 billion in gross freight revenue. Grocery stores would run out of groceries.
That's crazy, man.
It is, man.
That's crazy. Trucking, here's the thing. I never, this is mind blowing when I picked up this topic and I shot it to you immediately. I was like, dude, we got to talk about this. It's the evil side of trucking. And man, is it a turnoff for women getting into trucking? Because women into trucking is a really big thing right now. Okay. Does this deter women from trucking? Does this put a more of a, even the women that have husbands that are not truckers?
Yeah.
Do you feel safe with your wife being out there as a trucker? But typically, it's not the truck driver who's being murdered. It's more about like you said, that girl was 14 years old.
Yeah. It's more about the women that they meet along the road, which he will get into the profession of some of those women. I'm sure after this story breaks, because this is a very new story, people will be looking at truckers differently, and that worries me. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want nobody looking at me like a possible serial killer. But after you watch this video and listen to some of these stories, if I'm being honest, I plan on having a talk with my daughters, because I have a daughter that's driving along the highway every day to go to work, and these type of things are scary. You know what I mean?
A driver, yeah, that's a great point. Pull over the side of the road. You need help. Truck drivers, there's a law that states that if someone is broke down and you're in a truck, that it is incumbent upon you to pull over and help that person.
I've never heard
that.
that.
There is a law out there like that. I'll try to find it. I remember hearing that. Because imagine you on an open road and truck drivers are out there.
Right.
And somebody might be stranded. I've seen something like that before. I can't remember in detail, but
I thought truckers were just doing it out of the kindness of their heart.
No, a lot of truckers are nice people for the most part, but man, this right here is pretty crazy. And it's alarming because it makes you want to really dive into what does it take to stop this kind of situation. And that's what he's doing, and then I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But what it winds up doing is it makes the privacy, it takes away privacy from from trucking. Like, we're real big on how we hated when they took away paper logs,
Right.
and implemented ELD and tracking systems, right? Mm-hmm. But the ELD and the tracking systems kind of help shut down some of these, like he's going to tell you later in the video, how it's going to help shrink that number down of 450 suspects.
It'll help them investigate better.
Right. And maybe it's like, damn, these guys are just open road. It's open season on whatever they want to do because there's nobody watching them.
Yeah.
I can go thousands of miles and you don't know where I was or how I did it, what I did, then I can pick you up in one jurisdiction, take you to another jurisdiction. How did you ever know?
Yeah, this thing is very eye-opening, this interview. Of course, we're skipping around a little bit, but he speaks about how, a lot of the victims are sex workers, and how easily it is for these long-haul drivers to, like you said, pick these women up, take them somewhere else, do what they got to do, take them somewhere else, dispose of them. It's a very serious thing that I've never thought about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy.
My investigative theories about truckers that are more likely to kill, the kinds of trucking that leads more likely to killers, I had to ask that hard question because I wanted to reduce that 450 suspects to a more manageable number.
And you asked that question to Mike, and he had a really interesting answer. He thinks it's dependent on the type of truck the trucker drives. Can you talk about his theory a little bit and then what you come up with without obviously giving too much away from the book?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just who I am to ask the question, who's doing this and more likely to do it. So look, there's various kinds of trucking. Yes, the whole profession is isolating. It tends to be more antisocial. But when you get into the weeds, the guy or gal who's doing the flatbed is loading and unloading and has to know math and physics, weight distribution, points of securement. Do I have too much weight over one axle? Can I load my gas tanks today, or will that put me overweight? Do I chain this load or strap the load? All of that is vastly different levels of engagement, physical activity than, say, dry vanners who are hauling a load of dry goods across the country. Their physical activity is virtually non-existent. They don't load the truck. They just open that back door. They are isolated. They can be antisocial. That is what I theorize lends itself more and attracts more the person with the predisposition of violence.
And it seemed like in your book, because parts of it go through you on the road, the other parts you're talking to doctors, analysts, sex trafficking victims, and it almost seems like this perfect storm because you have these truckers who are isolated, who are on the road, and then you have these victims of sex trafficking who end up being the victims of a serial killer and get into the hands of them. So can you talk about that perfect storm a bit for us?
Yeah, there's a reason why the number one profession of serial killers is long-haul trucking. It affords them tremendous license to kill on open stretches of highway through rural areas, and they're exploiting the seams in law enforcement. They'll grab that target victim of opportunity, that sex trafficked victim, very vulnerable because she's all about getting up close and personal with that trucker and vice versa. They grab her in one jurisdiction, they kill and or rape her in a second police jurisdiction, and they dump the remains in a third. That creates a moving crime scene, and it's very difficult for law enforcement to meet that challenge. Add to that factor that there's often no family members that are demanding justice. They don't even know their loved one is missing. There's no one championing the cause. It's my hope that this book helps to speak for those victims.
And we're going to cut the video right there. I think we'll leave a link in the bio for you can go check it out for yourself. Forbes breaking news.
Yeah.
But You cover a lot of topics in this thing, man. He said one thing that stuck out. He said the number one profession of serial killers is trucking.
Long haul trucking.
But if you think about it, though, if you was been in trucking for this many years and that statistic never popped up, that's kind of that's mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Like, what was the second and third profession? Doctors.
That's good. I should have looked that up in my research,
I
man.
would love to see what the second and third one is, but damn, trucking, but because he said it affords you so many opportunities just to pick up and keep it moving and pick them up in one jurisdiction, take them to the next jurisdiction.
Yep.
And it's insane. And I just really, what can be done about this? What can be done to help stop this type of stuff from happening?
Well, there is an organization that that basically is been around for a while. They're called Truckers Against Trafficking, TACT. We'll try to link them in the description of this video as well. And it's basically, if you see something, say something for truckers. You know what I mean? If this topic bothers you like it bothers me, then as we're out there on the road, I know I'm in a truck a little bit more than you nowadays, Salim. Mm-hmm. We just got to be vigilant. You're driving up, you're on the road, you see something strange at a truck stop. You see something strange while you're going up the road. Maybe jot down a truck number or whatever. I mean, forget all that no snitching stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I know in my culture, there's a no snitching type of thing. But if you care about these type of issues, if you care about women, we have daughters, we have aunts, aunts and, women in our family that could be vulnerable. He spoke about the, sex trafficking industry and how there are a lot of victims pertaining to this issue.
Yeah, but that's another one I want to talk about, because women being the victims, but they're the ones that make the initial contact.
Yeah, he spoke about that.
They're the ones that make the initial contact, and because she's all about getting up close and personal with the driver.
That's what he said.
So it makes it so easy for a sick guy who's doing the serial killing. It makes it so easy for him to pull off these type of things when that woman is making contact, first initial contact. She knows she's got to get up close and personal. She knows she's got to be in a private space. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to look at this as truck drivers. I hate that.
Yeah.
We need to look at these women hanging around the truck stops. You see what I'm saying? These women who are, making that initial contact. Like he said, let's kind of stop from both sides. You see what I'm saying? Let's approach from both angles. If you see, what's the terminology called? Lot lizards.
Yeah, we call them lot lizards in the truck industry.
Okay, I mean, get those women, out of there. You see what I'm saying? Security should not allow them in the truck stops, hanging around truck stops.
Yeah.
Because here's the facts about it. A truck can't go anywhere. Trucks can only go certain places. Cars can go a lot more places than the truck can go. Mm-hmm. That big old rig, 53-foot trailer, and it has to be a sleeper, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a day cab, so you got a lot of real estate to navigate right there.
Yeah.
So there's only certain places that those initial contacts can be made. Truck stops, rest areas, truck parking lots, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so
as far as with the lot lizards, the prostitutes.
Where else are they catching them at?
Yeah, I mean, it's 2024. There's technology and stuff out there now. Websites and dark web, stuff like that.
And meet up somehow.
Right. I mean, we're in that digital age now. A lot of these women, and I'm not speaking from experience, but they do have websites and stuff for these ladies of the night to make contact a lot easier.
And then so now they got into the mindset of the females who are the ones that are being taken over. Like a 14-year-old girl ran away from home with her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was hitchhiking.
Yeah, that was the case of was it Robert Ben Rhodes? And
yes,
that guy was a sick maniac. But who's 14-year-old? How can your 14-year-old daughter go unaccounted for? You know, I mean, I can imagine, I can see how these can happen. The father's not in the picture.
Yeah.
Mom might possibly be on drugs. She could be an only child and
Foster child,
anything, and no one's looking after her. She's gone for days, and the police are not called or whatever.
Right.
Now she's abducted, and so that's going to be a community effort to be able to get out there and not let these little children be running around the streets like that. I mean, how do you do that? There's got to be a way to get that done. So,
well, as owners of trucking companies, he spoke later on in the video. You guys will see that if you actually watch the video on your own in its full length about trucking companies vetting their drivers a lot better. You know, trucking is a second chance industry, meaning like felons and, you know, people with records can, you know, a lot of the time trucking is that, you know, high income career that they get into when they have those felonies and they can't get those more traditional jobs. So what's your take on, you know, vetting drivers a little bit better during the hiring process?
it makes me want to peek a little deeper, you know? Just because typically for what we do, we don't run over the road that often.
Right.
But when we do, guys pretty much are trying to get back home anyway. But if I was in that situation where guys were running long haul, I would definitely look at the types of crime that individual did if he did get
That they
locked up.
committed,
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, like, it can't, you know, that's what he said. He said you got to kind of look at what they did. Okay, he did credit card fraud. Okay, it is what it is.
Right.
But sexual abuse and child abuse or whatever that is,
Physical abuse, you know
know,
what they call it, domestic violence.
domestic violence,
That might be a red flag.
could be a red flag. But that's kind of broad. What domestic violence could be a man beating on his wife.
Correct. That's usually, or a woman beating on her husband.
Yeah.
With children in the presence usually happen
It's
in the
kind
home.
of it's kind of rough, man. You kind of
We got to do better, man. Like as far as being owners of companies, vetting our drivers. After watching this video, and if you don't already have these type of processes in place, we have to do better when it comes to vetting drivers. Because I am guilty of, you know, hey, bringing a driver on, you know, doing some pre-employment or you know, pre-employment screening, and you know, not necessarily going deep into criminal records. I do ask the question. And, you know, some of my drivers let me know, okay, well, yeah, I had one driver, he sold drugs in the past. I'm like, okay, well, you know, that's very common, you know, there's a lot of ex-drug dealers, but, you know, as far as getting the software and things like that, I think that's something that we should be doing.
Theft is a big thing, I think, when you look at hiring a driver, because that's huge.
That is
Fortunately, what we do in flatbed is that ain't nobody really stealing nothing like that. They don't steal no bricks and bad concrete, or you can't even get a concrete structures off the truck.
Can't say a bag of concrete fell off the truck. I mean a pallet.
That's why I love that, because it's like no one's trying to steal a big old concrete structure.
Bundle of 2x4s.
Yeah, you know, nobody wants that. So I like that. So it makes our job a little easier. But yeah, if you're hauling TVs or you're hauling PlayStation and all this other kind of stuff, people find ways to say, man, I don't know what happened. Somebody came and stole my, you know, a theft. There's a lot of opportunity for a guy to come up with some scams like that, and you know, so I can see that. But nobody's thinking about a serial killer type situation. Your driver trying to run over the road and pick up a female or something and take her somewhere, drop her body off. Like I can't even imagine that.
You know,
how would you? That's why this is so shocking to me. So what are the telltales? And that's what they was talking about in the behavioral analysis unit at the FBI, trying to see the telltale signs of that. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit more important to me. How do you pick up on somebody like that in your interview process? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of questions you ask? How do you feel about women? I don't know.
Hey, that's a good question.
You know, I mean, allude to those things.
What was that?
You got to kind of allude to those topics and then try to bait them into seeing what their thoughts on that kind of
You know,
stuff
if you've ever worked for a company, a lot of times they be asking these type of questions. Like, hey, you know, they'll give you scenario questions. You know, hey, if you were at a customer and you know the customer was a little uncomfortable, was a little disrespectful, how would you handle that? So, you know, that's just an example of many questions these companies ask to get into the psyche of their, you know, potential employee. I don't think there's nothing wrong with asking scenario type of questions like, hey, if you encounter a female on the road and you know she's broken down, how would you handle that situation? Or you know, if there's a female driver that cuts you off, how would you handle that? To kind of see if they're the misogynistic type, or you know, got this type of disdain for women or children. You know what I mean? Because we deliver everywhere. I've delivered to schools, you know, daycares. You know, there might be some construction going on. We have to, we have to do our part as company owners to protect the public and also provide a service at a high level.
And what when you think about this stuff right here, how does it change how does it influence your opinion of DOT officers? I mean, think about it. Every time I saw a DOT officer, a guy that pulls you over, inspecting your truck, like I always thought to myself, like, why is he armed? You know what I mean?
Right.
I can understand that now.
Yeah.
You get in a situation where, like in the case of Robert Ben Rhodes, when he pulled when the Arizona trooper pulled over. Imagine it's a DOT officer pulling over. You get out of the truck, hey, let me just check and see if everything's going all right.
Yeah.
Then you hear screaming in the back of the truck. And he said the girl was chained and shackled in a makeshift torture chamber in a truck.
That's some scary stuff, brother.
So boom, boom, boom. And then you see this, he tried to answer the door, you see it, you got to be armed. Sir, get on the ground. But whatever you got to do, pull him out of the truck. You got to be a legit officer in order to pull that kind of stuff. It's different. We always think, DOT officers are out here to give us problems. But man, this right here, they probably got a whole lot of other things they're dealing with that we don't even think about. And they should pump this more. They should put this information out there more and say, listen, y'all don't know what we deal with. It will give them a different kind of respect for those officers.
I believe that's what Frank Figliguzzi is trying to do with this book. You know, he's been on tour basically speaking about this. He was assistant director of the FBI. That's pretty high up, and he didn't know this program existed. The name of the program was the Highway Serial Killing Initiative. This dude was high up in the FBI, didn't even know this program existed, and that's why he basically came out of retirement and wrote this book to bring more light to it. He even spoke about GPS tracking in trucks. No matter how big the company is, whether you're a small mom and pop company or a mega carrier. Now, a lot of mega carriers do it. Right now, if you're not familiar with how trucking regulations work, if you have an older truck, I think it's below year 2000, you don't have to have what's called an electronic log. And if you have a newer truck, you do have to have an electronic log. And these are essentially the GPS monitoring devices that Frank is talking about later on in the video that you guys will see if you do decide to watch the full video. So how do you feel about that, Salim? I think it's a good idea personally, because I like to see where my driver is at. You know, if a customer calls me and say, hey, you know, Tim, you know, what happened to that load, Canton? It was supposed to have been picked up already. I could easily go on my phone and say, yeah, my driver is en route. He's 5 minutes away. Boom, boom, boom.
The ELD was, because I was part of that transition from going from paper logs to ELDs, and it was a hard pill to swallow initially. Over the years, I've become accustomed to it, and I like it now. I like privacy. That's why I got into one of the big things that attracted me to trucking. I like to be in my own space, but I'm also a responsible person, and I'm going to do my job and I'm going to do it right.
Right.
Okay, I don't need nobody to tell me to do my job. But I see where people don't do their job and they don't do it right. I'm trying to track a load.
Yes.
And I'm calling my drivers, and the driver's never answering the phone.
Correct.
The driver never make contact with you. He's not being responsible. He's not updating me when I need to. So yeah, the ELD. Okay, you know what? I can pull it up, see where he's at, give the customer. You know, you got $100,000 worth of freight on the truck.
Yeah.
That customer wants to know where their freight is. The driver, all they're thinking about is, man, leave me alone. I'll get there when I get there. And listen, I understand that. I understand from both sides. I've been on both sides. But you have to respect the game. And a lot of people don't respect the game. And this is part of the game.
Yeah.
This is very much part of the game. Listen, people cannot just be, have open season and free range to run around, pick people up, kill them, drop their bodies off, keep it moving. There's got to be a way to account for that. You see what I'm saying? And if your job is to run across country, you stopping at places where these victims, potential victims are. They get up close to a person. It's like giving candy to a baby. It's easy money for a serial killer to run out there and do something like that. So
Right.
I like the idea of it. I just want the federal government to be responsible and not to be abusing that power.
Right.
That's what I don't want to happen.
Because we already are one of the most highest regulated industries within, careers and stuff like that. We are highly regulated. Every year they're coming out with more laws for truckers. But I want to backtrack a little bit. I think it was a really important thing we missed. He spoke about the psyche of the trucker and what type of trucker would be most likely to do these type of things. And without saying it, he basically said it will probably be the dry van drivers.
Yes.
Because the flatbed drivers are more active. They're more, they're getting out there, they're strapping the load, they're having to, think about, load securement and, just really out there getting involved and seeing people and socializing. But when you are in a dry van, their only job is to open and close doors, sit and wait. It's a lot of alone time in there. It's a lot of time that they are spending without any type of interaction with people and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on that?
Listen, an idle mind is a dangerous mind.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you have to keep yourself. You can't let your mind just wander like that. That's why I love flatbed.
Yeah.
It keeps you It keeps you a little more healthy than the drive-in guy.
For sure.
You up and you moving, shaking and baking. You're throwing chains. You're throwing straps. When it's raining, man, you just want to pull over and get some rest.
Yeah, you be tired. Yeah.
You don't sit around at a dock for hours with nothing to do.
Yeah.
You done watched all the YouTube videos you can watch. You done ate all the Cinnabons that you can eat. You see what I'm saying? And now you still got time on your hand, and you a sick-minded person, dude. These guys, I can imagine these guys just plot and plan. You need to keep. They need to stay busy. They don't need to be in trucking. They need to be on an oil rig somewhere. You see what I'm saying? With a bunch of hard legs. You know what I mean? Doing work and wearing themselves out.
Yeah, physical activity.
Yeah. So not in trucking, not somewhere where they can build a driving torture chamber.
Yeah, I mean, there's some sick people out here, bro.
So I mean,
the world is only getting darker.
The DOT officers are allowed to pull over trucks and get inside your truck. They don't need a search warrant. It's not like cars. They can get inside your truck. They can investigate. They can look around. They can make you open up the trailer. Mm-hmm. They got bolt cutters. They can cut the bolt on the back of that trailer, open it up, and take a look if they want to. You see what I'm saying? It's like the case of the vampire trucker. This guy, I think he was driving around with victims, raping them and doing all that type of stuff. Look him up.
Was he sucking blood?
Huh?
Was he sucking blood?
Second blood.
What? I mean, why would they call him a vampire trucker?
He had a fantasy about vampires. Like what's the movie where the Vampire Diaries? No, not the Vampire Diaries. What, the Family of Vampires?
I'm not a vampire guy, bro. I never watched anything besides Vampire in Brooklyn. Eddie Murphy.
It was a weird vampire. I watched the whole series. I can't even remember the name of it right now. But he mimicked it after them, and he named his rig the Vampire something Express or something like that.
That's weird.
He would put fangs in his mouth. He would chisel out the women's teeth and make them look like fangs.
Oh my God.
The dude was crazy. So, but they said that he was raped as a child. abused and all that type of stuff.
Hurt people, man. Hurt people. You know, Salim, it's hard being a boss nowadays and be personal with your employees and contractors, right? Because you know one day you got a boss up, you might have to fire them, right?
Yep.
But I think in these cases, after watching this video and doing a little bit of research about this serial killing thing going on, we're gonna have to get a little bit more personable with our drivers and stuff. Is that something you do? Because I over the years I try not to get too close to my my contractors because I know I've had to fire some of them. And the first time it was very hard. And, you know, because one guy invited me to his kid's birthday party. And a year later, he freaking ran over some, you know, customer's property and didn't report it. And the guy was just being like doing real weird stuff. And when it was time to fire him, it was really hard. So now I purposely try not to get too close to my the people working for me. But here, I think we're going to have to find a way to, you know, get inside their head a little bit, figure out what type of person this is. This guy a little weirdo.
It's a rule. It's a rules to what you can say, what you can ask, and what you can do in the hiring process. You know, you gotta keep it a kosher, keep it in the realms of the law, right? So we really need to know those things so that you can navigate how you need to see fit. But yes, I have gotten really deep with my contractors and asking questions, and a lot of times they just give out their information. You don't have to ask; they just start, telling you their life story. I didn't ask for that, and the point I'm at now is kind of don't want to know about what's going on in your personal, a lot of your stuff, because of that same example you gave right there. It's like, look, I don't mind. We got to keep this business and keep it strictly business. Right. We do what we do as a business. We help people, this and that. But I don't want to get too personal with you because a lot of these guys, they like getting personal with you so they can try to get over on you. Yep. So they can use your kindness as weakness, and they know they do that. Yeah. You get trust, believe me.
I've noticed it too.
It's not even it's like they think they're getting away with something. They think they're intelligent a lot of times. Like, buddy, look, I'm gonna keep it straight with you. We're gonna keep this thing strictly business, buddy. Right. Now, if you've been around for a certain amount of time and now we build in a certain direction, that's cool. We can get to that point. Yep. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's always gonna be business. It's nothing personal, because I always tell people, man, this thing feeds so many people eats off of this thing, off this business. You know what I mean? Like, several families that eat off this thing go down. There's a lot of people out of work.
I totally understand.
So, but I mean, that's about it. You guys, tell us what you think in the comments, man. Go check out the video. Give us some good feedback on it. This is a very important topic. Yep. We really want to know and do our part in this and put it out there. Any more?
Yeah, I think it's important for truckers watching this to definitely check out the organization Truckers Against Trafficking, TACT, or maybe that I said that wrong, but we'll link it in the description, and we will be with you guys on the next one. We really appreciate you sitting with us through this very serious topic. We hope you guys are taking it as serious as us, and that's all I got for this one.
All right, man. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. Continue to hit the like button. Continue to check us out. We're gonna be bringing you nice content like this throughout our podcast career. All right.
Thank you all.
Have a good one.
Peace.